Here with the Hawks Outdoor channel with Sammie Biemer. How are you today?
Good. How are you?
So our topic today, tell us about it.
Camping with dogs and just adventuring and finding camping spots and how to take your dogs camping. All of the above.
Awesome, awesome. Well, you're our in-house Hawks ambassador dog expert,
Yeah.
famous for some of your photography. You've
Yeah.
been in publications with your dog,
Hmm.
sleeping in a hammock.
Yeah.
What magazine was that in?
Southern Living. Yeah.
Oh, very. And how did they find that? How did
It
that come to
was
be?
actually random. I was on a trip and I got an email from somebody, whatever their name was, and I thought it was trash. It said Southern Living, like we want to publish you, blah blah. And I was like, oh, there's no way. So I swiped over and deleted it. And later I was at dinner with my mom, and I was like, yeah, this lady emailed me and said they want to do an article on me and my dog and stuff. And she's like, well, look up the lady and see if she's like who she is, or whatever. And so I Googled her and it says head editor, blah, blah. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I went and got the email out of the trash and was like, yes, I would love to do that. And so did an article on Porter right there, sleeping in a hammock. And
Excellent.
yeah, that was pretty cool.
And where was that trip at?
That one was, I did a 9-day trip from Texas, went out to Arizona and kind of made a loop around to Utah, Colorado, and back down. And I was on my way home at that point. Actually, it was just a random, just hung up the hammock and just,
It wasn't staged.
it
You didn't
wasn't
have to like
anything.
hold
Yeah.
in that. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All
It
right.
was
It
just
wasn't
kind of,
posing.
just threw him in
Just
the
kind of
hammock.
happened.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, he looks
Excellent.
kind of cute. Snap the photo.
Excellent. Well, tell us about your photography firm. What do you specialize in?
Yeah.
How does it tie into the outdoors?
Yeah. Well, actually, the only reason I got into photography was because of Porter. And I got him as a puppy. And my mom was going to retire. She had got a bunch of camera gear and ended up not retiring. So I was like, hey, can I use it? And so I started taking photos of him and made an Instagram for him at the time before it was like, the
Hit
crazy.
his own dog channel.
Yeah. And it kind of took off and then I started doing photography from there, but it was all just adventure stuff. And then once I got published and all that stuff, and someone was like, hey, like, would you take family photos? And I was like, I guess, yeah, sure. Like at this point, why not try? And so I did. So then I started photography like for weddings and families. And so it kind of all ties in. I do adventure stuff and I love doing brand photography for outdoor companies or whatever. And then on the side, do weddings and family photos.
Excellent. That's
Yeah.
excellent. So, what is your background in overlanding? Did it start off road? Who
Yeah.
got you involved? Because you've been doing this for quite a while.
Yeah. Again, it was started, I've always done adventure stuff as like a kid, dirt biked and all the adventure and outdoor stuff. And I got this dog and he is a Hungarian Vizsla and he is very high energy. And he was using my parents' house as a racetrack. And so I was like, how do I get this dog outdoors and like do stuff? And I've done like the tent camping and all that stuff, but I've never done like overlanding yet until I got him. And so at the time I'm not even sure what vehicle it was at the time. I've had quite a few, but I decided to start camping with him and found places online where you can take dogs and it just kind of went from there. I was camping in the back of my car to having the rooftop tents and all that. So
Interesting.
yeah.
Awesome. So, one of the things that has been really popular is your solo camping.
Hmm.
You're a female alone
Yeah.
camping.
Yeah.
And tell us about the safety aspect that you
Yeah.
feel the companion dog brings to
Yeah.
the table.
Definitely. I feel like it's definitely a popular thing to do now, like solo camping and all that. And I've had some scary run-ins being a female by myself.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Yep.
Actually, on the trip where the famous hammock photo was, I uh, I was at the river with the dogs, like letting them go to the bathroom and stuff. And there was this man there, and he just started talking to me and just being naive and kind of just like friendly. I was like, oh yeah, I'm like on a road trip with my dogs, here I am, and I think he picked up on I was definitely by myself. And so later I, kind of walked away and disappeared or whatever. And I'm at my campsite and I see him just kind of appear. He's like,
Reappear out of
hey, yeah,
nowhere.
just wanted to see what your site looked like. And I was like, that's not normal. Like, like he genuinely he could have been kind or whatever, but it wasn't something I wanted to be like, yeah, come check out my site. And so I said, oh yeah, actually I'm just waiting for some friends that decided to show, maybe. And he's like, oh, okay, okay. And kind of just walked away. But I was like, that was sketchy. But at the time I had my dogs with me and they went nuts and they were like barking and stuff. And I was like, oh, thank God. Because I think it is kind of scary being out there when you don't have cell service and, into the
what I've noticed with like my dogs and camping and having my kids is when we set up our camp area, it's amazing how quickly that turns into their territory.
Hmm.
They're out marking the area.
Yeah.
They naturally want to
Yeah.
protect us and make a
Yeah.
safe zone.
Like this is home.
This is our yeah,
Yeah.
this is our current home, and I
Yeah.
want to make sure everyone's safe.
I feel like dogs too, like they have a sense of like if something feels off or like there's someone that's like, like they would be very protective over.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So
So everyone is excited on taking dogs camping,
Yeah.
but the logistic aspects.
Yeah.
Let's talk about where do you put them in the car?
Yeah.
Do you have them seat belted in
Yeah.
with harnesses and
No.
helmets on?
Yeah.
Where do they go in your vehicle?
So
What is your vehicle right
yeah,
now?
right now I have a Lexus GX 570
Excellent.
and I have a built out platform in the back, so it just completely is flat back there, which is cool because I just throw them in the back and they have the whole platform to do whatever, sleep, which is what they mostly do. And all the other vehicles I've had where that's not possible, I have like one of those back seat hammocks, which really takes up space when you're trying to pack but it's worth it. But yeah, they'll be in one of those hammock things, and then never in the front seat though. Keep all the dog hair in the back.
Yeah. Create a barrier.
Yeah.
So, have you ever had to deal with, I guess, like my next question where I go to it is, what about pet owners? You're 7 days on the road.
Yeah.
I know we as humans don't smell good, but
Yeah.
dogs out in the wild, is there any precautions you take?
Yeah.
Do you
Sometimes
bring
it's
any
just
sprays or water solutions?
sometimes it's part of the aspect of camping. I know sometimes like, if I'm camping by the water or river or whatever, they're in the water and it's all natural water, so it's kind of like, a natural bathing for them. But there's been situations where this one time Porter, he loves cow poop.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah. And he does this thing where he likes to roll in it, and it was all on the back of his head, and cow poop isn't the best smell. And so I did take him down to the water, and it was just like, washed him off there, and it's kind of something I dealt with. But
Yeah. And then at nighttime, what's your sleep arrangements? And so the biggest question I get is, how do I get them in the rooftop tent? But is that always the option? Can they sleep in the car while you're up in the tent?
Yeah.
Do you truck them on up? Or what do you recommend?
Yeah, so I had a Tacoma once where I had a camper shell and a rooftop tent.
I think we even have a picture.
Is it on there?
Yeah. So how did that work?
Yeah. So there, I'll sit down and they'll put their their paws on my shoulder.
Yes.
And I kind of just hike them up, and then I'll climb up the ladder, and then they climb in. But once they've done it a couple times, like Porter, the second it gets dark, he sits by the ladder and will wait for me to come over. I'll just squat down. He'll get on my shoulder. I'll put him in. And in the morning, which is probably the more dangerous aspect of taking him down, is I'll lean in, and which this took some practice. And he'll put both paws on my shoulder, and I'll start to lean back. And then he'll hike his hind legs onto my hips, and then we just kind of go down. And
I think you should make a TikTok of that.
I know, right?
Pretty good.
It is, yeah. But there is times where I've had like other vehicles where I'll put them in the bed of the vehicle, and I'll sleep up top. But if it's like a smaller tent, but most of the time they sleep in the tent with me, and it's all very routine now. I've done it so many times. It's like.
And are they calm? Do they just clunker out? Are they concerned how high they are?
Yeah. Well, the golden retriever actually, he gets more timid, but he has launched out of the tent before. Decided just to like, I'm out of here.
Just goes.
Just sends it off. Yeah. But yeah, no, they love being up there. And a lot of times, like when we're camping, like they're running around and they're so tired by the end of the day that they're asleep before I am.
And we're seeing a lot in this market space of the dog ladders. And OBS even has a solution that comes with the ladder and tent built in. So some dogs have that option of not being carried up. They can ramp it.
I have before where the front of the tent would open up kind of like the James Brood does. And I would put a yoga mat down the windshield.
Okay, so they go from the ground to hood to windshield to tent.
And then back down,
Excellent. So another thing I want to talk about on this is everyone wants to bring their dogs, but like, what are situations where you shouldn't bring your dog?
Yeah.
For me personally, with the heat, I've dealt with issues with my dogs in the heat.
Oh, really?
And it wasn't necessarily overlanding. I was picking up an older vehicle. I was going to accessorize for overlanding.
Yeah.
Lost air conditioning on the way home.
Oh, no.
It's 105 out. I'm overheated. the dog's overheated.
Yeah.
And that was a scenario where I probably should have left my dog at home.
Yeah.
And so, my concern is, I think, especially with Texas heat, is there are times when we shouldn't take our dog.
Yeah.
What do you do with your dog if you have to run into the gas station or into the store? What is your game plan with that?
Well, I most of the time don't camp in Texas unless it's like cooler weather. Otherwise, it's miserable for them and it's miserable for me. You're just sweating.
Yes.
But so if it's like the cooler states, a lot of times, if it's like 75 degrees and below, I'll crack the windows or open the windows completely because no one's gonna just like.
So you just lock the doors.
Yeah, lock the doors. But if it's like hot outside, I'll just leave the windows up, leave the car on, and
just go inside
and pray that no
hope
one
no one steals your car. Yeah.
Hope that maybe they're like a little deterred by the dogs being in the vehicle.
Have you ever had any dogs get injured on trips? We got cactus, we got porcupines, we got glass at the beach.
Yes, actually, in that vehicle and that golden retriever, actually I was going to Arizona and I was trying to race the sun for sunrise, and I was about like an hour and a half outside of cell service, and I make it there. The sun's just peeking above the mountains. I bring both dogs out and setting up the tent. I'm like getting some content, and at the corner of my eye, I see the golden retriever just kind of like running in circles and like kind of, I don't know what he was doing, but I was like, whatever, he's probably just playing. And then I couldn't find him. He was underneath the car, and he was like grabbing at his fur. And I was like, what in the heck? So I get him to come out, and he is covered in like cactus patties.
Oh no.
And he's been trying to get him out with his mouth. So now they're in his nose and his tongue. And I was like, what do you do for, like, I'm so far from like first aid, a vet. And so I mean, even if you had a first aid kit, what prepares you for that, you know?
Yes.
So to at least get the patties out, I grabbed the starter cables out of the car and I ripped those out, but the ones in the nose and stuff, and so I was like, okay, at least he can get into the car now. I put him in the car seat and he's just kind of like stiff, just like
frozen.
Yeah. And then just hauled butt to a vet, and they had to do a whole put him under for a bit, and do the surgery because they had like the hook on the end. Mm-hmm. So like there's times like that where it's like,
so it's probably going to map out some just as you would for a human, like some emergency rooms along the way.
Yeah, know what's around.
Some vet clinics that are within the area. That's a good idea. How much water do you bring? Do you have like a ratio you do for the dogs? Is there any game plan with that?
I usually will pack. I'll get the 1 gallon. If I'm car camping, there's usually a lot of room, but I'll grab like gallons of water, and then I'll just keep those and use them as much as I can. Then I'll just pick up some if I'm going from like campsite, pass through a town, grab more water.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay. Just jugs of water.
Yeah.
Well, very cool. So if someone wants to get a hold of you and have your photography, how can they get a hold of you?
Yeah. So on Instagram, it's just Sammie B, and then I'm there, Sam Biemer Photography on Instagram.
Excellent.
Yeah.
It could be a whole genre of overlanding with your dog photos.
Yeah, 100%.
Excellent.
Cool.
Well, Sammie, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Happy to be
really
here.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.